Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of the Mental Brew podcast, Conversations on High Performance. Today we have Danny Murphy from Cork City WFC with us. Danny, thanks for coming on.
No problem at all. No problem.
Now, we start off the podcast with the same question for most of the guests. Now, I did forget the last week, so I have to make sure to do it today. So Danny, why do you do what you do?
Good question. Really good question. I think when I finished playing football, I kind of wasn't sure what my pathway was and where I wanted to go with things. And I got into coaching and I really realised how, helping people, not just in terms of like things around the football aspect, but what outside of football as well, like is beneficial to you as well. And I just found it. So I think it's just something that I enjoy and I feel like I'm good at and I can keep improving on. And it's something that I probably never really wanted to, I suppose, in terms of school and things like that, not really been someone who's like really wants to learn and continue learning. But with this, I just feel like I don't have all the answers and I always want to find them. So I'm like continually trying to learn. So it's like there's always that drive for me with it.
Brilliant, unreal. And obviously enough now for League of Ireland fans, you've had a massive career in Ireland, obviously with Cork City. I was chatting to a buddy of mine only last week and I kind of mentioned you were coming on. First thing he said was, the Cockney Rebel. So, it goes back to the time with City. I suppose just going back to your time with City, I suppose what are the memories of playing with the club? Like I think is it 3 different stints with the club, massive amount of games played, massive things won, fun memories, I'd say.
Yeah, got some amazing memories. I mean, some of the things that we won and the trips, the European trips are class, but I think things for me that have always stayed with me is the friendships you kind of made within football and like the affiliation I kind of had with the club and the fans. I think that was something for me that I never felt that anywhere else. No matter where I went, I never had that kind of same feeling or same kind of like home feeling and feel like it really meant something. Like, whereas I had that with a football club here, and I feel that sometimes it could be too much. It can be very draining on myself and other people around me. But I think that for me is like the pride and passion of playing for this football club was something that I'll never forget, and it's something that will always stay with me for the rest of my life.
And I suppose, what was it about City that that created that instant connection for you and with the fans? I can remember seeing you playing. I remember you were tenacious, you were aggressive. And I remember actually asking James, we were training last week. So for those who don't know, I'm involved with Danny with the ladies. But I remember asking James, I kind of goes, Jesus, James, what kind of player was Danny, would you say? And he goes, he was one nasty fucker.
It's interesting that, because for me, I don't feel... it was like 2 different people for me. I had to be a completely different person going onto the pitch to where I was off it.
Yeah.
I couldn't go into games and be like, I want to be nice. It just didn't work for me. And I think when I didn't play well, I was too relaxed. I never felt hungry enough, and then I didn't play well. Whereas I went onto a pitch and I wanted everyone to hate me. I didn't want the opposition to even like me. I wanted them to think, God, fuck's that. I wanted their day of playing a game against me to be a living hell. And I was going to do whatever it took to do that. But it's crazy because when I went to other clubs and I played against other people, and obviously since I've come out of playing football, and you meet people and they're like going like a completely different person to what you was when you played. But I don't know, it was weird. I felt like I had to be like that. I couldn't go into games.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. I don't know. It was like, I suppose I was watching Mike Tyson thing the other day, and it's really interesting now. When he went into a ring, he was going to war.
Yeah.
And that was his way of listen, I'm going in there and I'm gonna kill you. I wasn't that extreme and thinking like that, but my way of thinking was, well, I'm just gonna, if I don't play well, I'm gonna make sure you have the worst day of your life playing against me.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my way of how I had to play, and it made me play a little bit on the edge, probably too much at times.
Yeah.
But I think it made me the player I was, really.
And looking back, I suppose, when you won the league with City, I always remember getting the Echo, and there'd always be something on City, a big game or a must-win game, and could have been winning the league, or I can remember watching an RTE or game. I think it was against Juventus, wasn't it?
That was the one. That was with Shamrock Rovers, but
Was
I
that
don't
Shamrock
think
Rovers? Yeah.
I don't think I'm allowed to talk about that. I don't think we're allowed to talk about that.
But I can remember watching those games. Like, I'll be honest, I wouldn't be the biggest City fan. I wouldn't have followed Cork City per se. I probably should have, like cousins playing on. But I can remember watching those. I can remember watching those European games on RT, and it was amazing. It was great for Cork. On the back of the Echo, everything was City. But obviously enough now for you to get to that level, to win those games, to win those championships, you must have had a really, really driven group. Bar ability, forget ability, party ability, but in terms of the drive, setting standards, that must have been really evident in the group, or would it have been?
Yeah, and I know me and you talk about this quite a lot actually, and I think we had some good players. We had some really good players, and I would have said that standards were good, but they could have always been better. And I think if they were really where they should have been, we would have probably won 3-4 leagues in a row. But I think one thing I would say we definitely had, we had accountability, whereas we had, if someone weren't quite doing their job on the day, they were told. If someone weren't quite right in the week in training, they were told. And it wasn't necessarily by the manager. A lot of it would have been from a lot of the players. I remember we were constantly having like punch ups in training. Like there was like constant arguments. Like, I mean, me and Billy Woods used to clash all the time in training. Like he'd have a go at me for being lazy and I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing that. And Colin would have been the same. Like he'd have been driving standards, and I would have said like Joe Gamble, Liam Carney, Darren Murphy would have been the same. Dan Murray, like the captain, would have been one who's just, if you weren't good in training, you heard about it, and you heard about it for the whole day. Like, and so it embarrassed you enough that you would be like, I'm going to make sure that don't happen again. I think that was the one thing I would say that we really, really had.
Yeah. And obviously, again, we've talked about the whole accountability piece. It's, I suppose, without kind of going, it was a different time and everything else. I suppose if you're looking at the younger players today, there might be an element of a bit of worry there, kind of going, oh, can I call out Danny who didn't play well, or will I just accept it? There is a bit of that. I kind of see it in Jay as well, where that edge, as you just said there, might be lacking a small bit, especially maybe in the younger generation. And again, I don't want to be tearing everyone with that brush now, to be fair, but it's definitely, I think, a difficulty some people have not to maybe bring the argument from training, into their personal life with that player. Do you agree?
Yeah, I would say, I'd say it is like that. I'd say, I think it stems from younger age groups. I really do. I think we've got such a culture of, from like younger kids, from like even like from 9 to 13. Like I think there's a culture there of like, well done, even if you didn't play well, and like everyone should be at a medal, even if you don't win. And I think that culture's bad. I don't like it personally because I think it doesn't teach kids any lessons, and it's like not everyone should win.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have to do the right things to be able to win and to become elite. And I think the culture from a really young age, I think that kind of stems into it, and then it's carried on. I don't think lockdown helped. Obviously, lockdown didn't help for a lot of kids, and massive, I think that's a massive part to play in it. I think there has to be a culture where you need to be able to call people out, and you need to be able to have them conversations with people, and need to be able to hold people accountable. But it's in the way that you do it. Like I think that it's like me and you. I've said it too. Like if someone turned around and said to me, "Danny, come on, you're better than that," like that nearly hurt me more than someone going, "That was shit."
Yeah.
Because it made me be like, "Oh, yeah, I am better than that. That wasn't good enough." Whereas if someone kind of went to me, "That was shit," it made me more aggressive. I'd be like, "What do you mean I was shit?" So I think like in the words that we're using now, we do it with younger kids. It can be more challenging in terms of trying to be like that, but I think that's definitely something that's missing from younger kids now. And I think that I just think the culture of like everyone's a winner, everyone gets as I like to call it, lollipops and stickers. Like everyone gets one no matter how well you do. Like you get like going to the dentist, well, I've just pulled your tooth out and I'm going to give you a sticker and a lollipop, and you walk away feeling that you're great.
Yeah,
Whereas, like, I just don't kind of like that kind of way. I think that you need to be able to go, look, that wasn't quite good enough, but if you improve on this part, then you'll be there. And what did you not do right that day that stopped you from being good? And I don't think that's bad to have them conversations with kids at 11, 12 and 13. I think that they should be having in conversations, because I remember I used to get in the car with my dad, and I used to absolutely dread getting in the car on the way home, because
yeah,
I'd be told everything I didn't do right. Anything I did do right wasn't right. And you just sit there and you'd be like, fucking hell, like, horrendous. But I'll never forget, like, them conversations with my dad, and like, it was horrible. Like, I used to not like it, but I don't think that, I think that made me a better player and a harder person to be able to take criticism,
yeah,
because I think I can handle when people criticize me now. And I think now, at the age I'm at now, and I mean, you've had this conversation, myself and James, is if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'm quite happy to say it. If I
yeah,
don't quite get things tactically right, I'm big enough to go, I didn't get it right. If I didn't make the right sub, I'll say that wasn't the right sub. And I've been quite open with the girls and stuff like that. If I didn't quite get it right, or it wasn't right, or we made the wrong decision, like, so what? We're going to get things wrong. You're going to get things wrong on the pitch. We're going to get things wrong. But I think being able to go, yeah, I can accept the criticism I'm going to get, but I'm going to keep trying to improve and keep trying to get better. There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah. Again, we would have talked to that, and I would have seen it firsthand from you. To be fair, just with, I suppose, I'm kind of going to go all over the place now on this, but you take over the Cork City ladies, Danny Murphy coming home essentially,
Yeah,
and results at the moment, I suppose we're in a difficult place, I think would be a fair thing to say, right? But can you just share maybe what people don't see? Like, I know from talking to you, the hours you put into a session, I know at one stage you were watching 4 games a day. Like, that's 4 games, getting ready for the opposition. What kind of stuff do people don't, or what stuff do people don't see, and maybe the things that kind of go into it? Because I know it's very easy for people to kind of maybe go on a podcast or the newspapers and say, "Jesus, Cork City lose again. Danny did this wrong and did that wrong." What don't they see? What goes into it so far for you?
yeah. I think from when we first come in, myself and James, and we sat down with a club, and it was the 4 of us were the members running the club at the time, and the we sat down with them, and we'd noticed some things for myself. So look, I suppose that for the first 90 days, we really assessed where the club was at and what needed to be done, and really where we needed to go with it. We had conversations with the club about there was a disconnect between the club and the girls' side, and it was a case of the girls wanted things, and people who were there before were blaming the club for why they wasn't getting things, instead of being open and honest about it. So we sat down and went over the books, looked at things financially, what it was costing, things that were outgoing from the club. And we just said to the girls, look, this is the current cost of running the club. This is the current cost of what's coming in from the girls' side. Like, and the club are funding all of this. So to want all these extra things, we've got to achieve and got to improve and get better. So we've got to, but there was a little bit of a culture there where it was like, his fault, her fault, they've got to do better. And I think that's gone now. I think that we've really improved that side of it. Like, the club are fully behind us, really support us in all the things. Like, before me and James were here, we couldn't get used to the pitch at Bishopstown, because it just wasn't something that we was able to do. And over the years since me and James have been in, like, we're getting the access to the grass pitch. We're able to train out there. But it's not ideal, because where we train overnight, because of college, there's no lights there, so we have to find somewhere else. But it's a massive saving throughout the year that we can save by using the back pitch for certain things, and then using the main pitch for our team shape and organisation. So that small little things like that have really improved. We wanted to change the short colour straight away. So we changed the colour of the shorts and stuff like that from white to green, to try and help the girls, make them before, things like that. And then kind of since I've come in, I've kind of literally, I suppose, I've tried to identify things that I feel need to improve and can get better. And I think that we've got a better culture around the club. I think that it's a happier place. really nice. Girls are feel fully backed by the club. They're fully involved in anything the club asks them to do. They really want to be a part of the club, and I think the club has shown that support as well. Like, you know, from Dermot to Aina, Erica, and I think even their interest in watching the girls' games and coming out to them, it feels more like a family and more like a football club now. Whereas when we first come in, it was very like kind of all over the place, and that's taken a little bit of time to change. And you know, we changed things around a little bit in the academy this year. You know, with Craig going into the 17s, and myself and Craig we worked quite close together, and with Jess in the 19s, and I just felt that, you know, we couldn't have Jess doing two teams and overseeing both and doing that. So we've changed that around and kind of taken on a different role in terms of overseeing kind of the footballing aspects of the women's side of the club. And you know, me and Craig made a sat down with Craig and said, look, I want to go younger this year. I want the girls to be young. We're not going to do well in the first part of the phase, but I really believe that come the second part of the phase that we'll really kick on and it'll really show our progression over a year. And then next season, we should be aiming for the elite phase because we'll have another bunch of girls who are already had a year experience at 17s, and we'll have another group of younger ones coming through with them, which will help drive them on and help develop them. So then we can have them come into the first team at 18, 19, but knowing that from 16, and some of them are 15, that they've had the right coaching and been taught the right things from that age group, so that when we get them at senior level, girls understand certain things and positioning and the tactical understanding of the game. And I think that it's been a lot. It's been tough at times. It's been hard. Like, it's been a lot of work, and it's been sitting down with coaches and taking some of the 17 sessions to help them in terms of how I want things to look and what things need to look like. And I think me and myself, Craig, spoke on Sunday, and we were saying that since we've started implementing how we want to press from the front, the 17s have done it unbelievably and probably scored majority of their goals in their last 4 or 5 games from that. So I just went out, took a session, went over some stuff with Craig and the staff, and they're implementing it really well in the game, and it's made a massive difference. And the 19s has been difficult because we probably didn't recruit as well in the 19s this year, and we've got a young first team squad, so you know we've gone younger with the first team because we want them to have a period of time at National League football that we can improve them and make them better. So you know, it's them little things, and then it's just other little bits, I suppose, like in terms of we brought yourself in. We've got Ola coming now doing the S&C, athletic development. We had John O'Flynn working with the forward. We've got Thomas and Josh and James and Owen. So Owen's the kit man, looking after everything, which was never done before. The girls are bringing their own stuff more or less to games where they turn up. It's more professional. Everything's done for them. They don't have to worry about anything on a match day. They just turn up. So all them things are kind of being done now, and they wasn't done before. So I really want to have like as much as we're part-time and amateur, I think that you can still strive to be an elite athlete within that environment. So I think if we always strive to say we're going to try and do the best we can as a coaching staff and give you every access to everything we can do, then we're giving them a chance to be elite athletes. Whereas if we're kind of like, well, it's amateurish, like let's do this and do it that way, and do 3 nights a week, and we won't do the video and we won't do the detail of why we need to improve or do these things, then you're not providing the environment that I think this football club should be in. We should have an elite environment, an elite attitude to how we do things. So that's kind of what we've done. And look, as I said, like for me, I think I'll probably drive the girls mad because this weekend I've sent out 187 clips of the Shamrock Rovers game. Now, they're all small little things where it might be, this was good, well done on this. We might be a little bit too deep on here. What do you think on this situation? So like, I really want them to engage in how we're trying to do stuff, because I really want to implement our style of play and how we do things. But I feel we've still got a bit of a way to go to really do that. And I would have said, if you turned around and asked anyone and said, oh, like, what's Danny's style of play, or what's your style of play as a Cork City Football Club? I think some of the girls might struggle to really say it, because I think they're kind of a little bit, we've gone into games this year where we've been a bit defensive. We've got into games where we've kind of set off and let the other team have possession. And I think this year's kind of been a bit figuring some things out where it probably wasn't the season we hoped for.
Yeah.
We was really positive going into it with pre-season. Now pre-season went, and we've had to change things a little bit around. We really wanted to be a front foot team, really aggressive, look to have high amounts of possession of the ball, and just a few changes in terms of personnel and how we've had to kind of change our shape and things like that. It hasn't really developed into that way, so we've kind of gone down a different kind of route, really. But losing Zara in pre-season was a massive loss, because I do think if we had Zara, we would probably be a different team in terms of how we play, how we want to do stuff. And not that it was all built around Zara, but she was a big part of what we wanted to do. And it's just that it's one of them things. It's a little bit of hard luck on her part, and but yeah, I think that there's lots. As I said, like I think for me, I'm always trying to improve and get better. So like I'll be sending even yourself on like video clips, like things that I'm looking at, like the one I sent you on earlier on today about the coach, and
it was very
young
good.
coach asking an experienced coach of, I want to change the culture. How long is it going to take? Like, you don't know. Like, it could take 2 years, could be 5 years, but I really do believe that where we're currently at and the continued improvements we're making off the pitch, that they're showing on the pitch.
Yeah.
And then I really do believe that in the next 2 to 3 years, we can be challenging for titles and like really be up there. And we just got to tidy up some other little bits and pieces around, players that we potentially bring in, or players that don't come in, or how we develop the players we have. And I really do think that there's a core nucleus of something really special at this football club.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I suppose to be fair to you, the one thing that struck me when I went in, so I came from GA background, completely different culture, and that was really evident to me, and that's a good thing. But it was just the environment you created and your relationship with the players is really, really, really good. Players can get onto you for X, Y, and Z. So like even touching on poor Zara, the fact that poor girl had to retire, but I know you went above and beyond reaching out to her meeting or whatever else. I know she appreciated that. So that's a great testament to the environment that you have created. And just with that, Danny, how important was getting the right people in with you? So you've mentioned James a good bit. I obviously know James as well, and I can see how important he is to the setup and how important he is working with you. How much time do you sit down and kind of go, it's all about the right personality coming in, rather than just filling a spot and go, I get Mr. X or Mrs. X in, and she does a complete poison, whatever it may be, or he complete poison, just disruptive to the group. How important is bringing the right people in for you?
It's massively important. I think, look, one thing I've always said is, do you know what? Football's football, and everyone's just be a good person. And if people, and I've always and look, there's other players who I've fallen out with and not got on with, but I've never, I'd say like Becky Cassin. When Becky Cassin first came in, me and her wouldn't have seen eye to eye. But if I see her now and the way things finish with the two of us, we'd have a conversation, have a chat, and I'd say we'd get on fine. But at the start, I could never have seen it going that way between the two of us. But I think ultimately everyone's got a life outside of football, right? And we've all got other things we have to deal with and issues we have ourselves. So do you really need to be an arsehole? No. I can be an arsehole at the best of times, and I know I can. And I know how aggressive I can sound and how I can be on the sideline and the things that I can say. But the girls know me that if I overstep the mark, they can tell me.
Yeah.
But if I say something that they're not quite happy with, just say it. It's fine. I'm not gonna lose my head. The first thing I'd be like going, right, well, I need to make sure I don't do that again.
Yeah.
And it's not a case of you're soft or anything like that, because I think they know if they cross the line and they go too far at me, they know that's I just won't have it. But they also know that I'll support them and try and get them anything I can, and I'll also try and do the best for them. And and there's nothing just be a good person. And I think that is the biggest thing for me. I think even with players, be a good team member, be a good person who's around the group. Don't be a dickhead. And I say that to people all the time. Just don't be a dickhead.
What? Just say there's two people meet on the street, and one of them again has the echo. so something with Cork City ladies in the back. What do you want them to say about maybe the people involved, whether they're players, whether they're staff, whether it's a parent actually? What do you want them to say about, I suppose, the feeling the kids get from being involved, or maybe knowing someone inside within the setup? What do you want to get across that I suppose what we're good at in terms of Cork City?
I think I want them to know that, that we care, that we care as a football club about every individual. And it's interesting. So I was saying that I actually think when we bring players into the academy, I think we should ask them the question is, what do you expect from us? So when you leave here, what do you expect from us? So, and it's an interesting one because when you say when you leave here, parents are like, well, what do you mean when I leave? Like, no, I'm signing to the academy. I'm going to be here forever. No, like at some stage you're going to leave, whether it be by you get released, whether it be that you move on to another club, or that you play here for the rest of your life and you end up retiring. But what do you want from us? Like, what do you want people to say? And like for me, I want people to say that, listen, I enjoyed my time there. It was a great family atmosphere around the club, and they really tried to develop me to the best way they possibly could.
Yeah, and again, I think that's massive, and even for parents, that's a massive selling point. And just your time as a young player back in England, when did you see that maybe this could be a career? And I suppose what way was the environment there back? Was it this could have been 20 odd years ago, 30 years ago, whatever it was. What was the environment in England? What was the environment in England? I'm guessing, obviously, very different time, culturally different from where we are now. Was it a hard environment? What way was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it to yourself and I've said it to other people. Like, I wouldn't want my little boy to grow up in that environment. Yeah. Like, I just want him to be happy and enjoy doing what he does. I'd rather him just get an education and get, as I say, a normal job and have a normal career and have something that he loves doing. And like,
but now the other thing, Danny, and sorry for interrupting you, is from chatting to him, he has it all mapped out, man. How he's going to play for Cork City, he has it all mapped out.
I know. And do you know what? Whatever he decides to do, I'll support him in anything he wants to do. Yeah. And I'll also allow him to make the silly mistakes and do things that he shouldn't do, and learn from it. Just learn from it. But I think I was probably around 9. I signed for West Ham. Oh. So I was about 9 or 10, and I was at West Ham's academy, and I would have been there till I was like 13. I would have been in a team with players would have been there, but like Jermaine Defoe, Leon Britton, boys a little bit older than me would have been like Rio Ferdinand and Michael Carrick-Cole were a couple of years above me, but like I was over at West Ham last week, as you know, like with in the academy, and we were talking, and someone said to me like, "Oh, Danny, was it mentioned that I was there?" So then there's asked me like, "What would you?" I said, "You know what?" I said, "I was intimidated." I said, because when I come into this academy, I was not technically as good as the other players, and I couldn't juggle with the ball at all. Like, hated it, couldn't do it, and we would be juggling, and I'd be undoing my laces. I'd be doing my laces up, hiding to do things. But I think like that, like the embarrassment of not being able to do certain things because other players could do it was like something that was really like I don't know, just weird. I'd rather go in for 5 tackles and then do 5 keep you uppies. Like, I just wasn't interesting. I'd rather try and hit the crossbar from the halfway line instead of trying to do that. And I had other attributes that players couldn't do, like probably 9, 10, 11. I could kick the ball further than most other kids, so they couldn't do that. But it's a challenging environment. It's very, very competitive. I think it's ruthless. You could be there 1 minute, gone the next. A new manager come in and completely his opinions different of you compared to the manager who was there before, and you might never play. Yeah. I mean, I had that at Motherwell, and that was not much I could do about that. It was just Mark McGee come in, wanted someone who was 6 foot tall. I was 26 years of age, and I was like to him, well, I'm not going to get any taller, so what's the point of me being here? So, and that was just the way he looked at football and how he wanted the game to be, and his opinion of me wasn't that I was a bad footballer. It's just not what he wanted.
Yeah, and that must have been difficult though. Like even like leaving any one of your teams. I have them all written down here. Like, but like even when you left City now, we'll say until at the end of 2006, that must be difficult from being in that environment to kind of go, okay, shit, I have to go find another club. Now, don't get me wrong, they could be baiting down your door, but like it's still change. Some people don't like change and don't do change very well.
Yeah, I think when Motherwell were interested in me and asked me about coming in, I was interested in going there as well, because I like the point that I could have played against Celtic and Rangers.
Yeah.
And that was a big reason for why I was like, oh, I get to go and play against Celtic. Like, oh, I can't wait to play against Rangers. And they're big clubs, like, and
yeah,
you never know how you play in them games, what might happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, you just don't know. And did I want to leave City? No. But it was an opportunity that if I didn't go, I was probably never going to get again.
Yeah.
So I decided to go and take the opportunity. I had a good season there my first year at Motherwell. As I said, I got injured the last 2 games of the season, and new manager come in the following year, and then I just wasn't in his plans. And I'd done all the pre-season. Then I rang up Stephen Kenny and said, look, he was at Dunfermline in the league, but I was like, Stephen, just take me on loan for the season. Can you take me on loan? He's like, I can't. They won't let me take you. I've asked already. So then I just went into the manager. I was like, look, I don't really want to sit on the bench. I don't really want to sit in the stand. I don't want to be disruptive and be a bad person around the group. I said, can I just let me go out on loan? I said, just let me go out and play. I just want to play. Just let me go. And he said, look, he'd speak to the club, and then came back to me the next day and said, look, yeah, it's fine. You can go on loan. And then I went on loan, done really, really well at Dunfermline, got called back from my loan, and we were playing Celtic. I think it might have been just before Christmas. We were playing Celtic, and he had said to me, listen, like, you're playing. So I'd come back off my loan, done well. Left back was injured, and he was missing for that one game, but I was going to play, and if I'd have done well, you just don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
But game got called off, and I didn't then get a chance again then. And that's life, that's football. And I'm quite comfortable going into places and talking and being around people. And I actually like going different places, like, and learning different things.
Yeah.
I mean, going to Shamrock Rovers was a big challenge. Obviously something I didn't want to do, but I had to do from financial aspect. And then, yeah, that was a challenge. And then when I finished playing football, I went off to America for 4 or 5 years.
And when did you realise that, going back to the coach, when did you realise this is something that you want to make a career out of this and not be, not do it part-time and kind of just keep your foot in there? Because again, I've seen the level of detail that goes into your sessions. I saw the stuff you did for the FAI as part of your elite course. I get the name that wrong now, so apologies. But the level of detail it goes into is incredible. So it's kind of very obvious to people who work with you that this is what you want to do as a living. When did that thought form? And I suppose what got you there? Like, were you when you finished playing? Was there a time where you worked, a normal job? Was there a time where you kind of goes, yeah, I have to go in, I have to do pay the bills, work the job? Then you're kind of going, man, I hate this. I just want to go back into football.
Yeah, I suppose when I was playing, I kind of had coaching companies and stuff like that. And to be honest, I was only doing them, like, it was the younger age groups, and I enjoyed being around the young kids and doing it. But it wasn't something that really drove me, and was like, I wasn't at that stage in my career. My money wasn't great, so it was another source of income. So I didn't want to get a real job, so I set up a coaching company, and I was good at it, and I enjoyed it. And people seemed to like coming to them. And then when I finished playing football, I just didn't know really what I was like. Is there any money really in coaching, like, to do that? And then I finished playing football, and I got a job, and I was working at Wise Tech up in Little Island, which was like computer components, and I was working in sales and stuff doing that. And then I was working with Macron, the teamwear brand. I'd done some stuff with Umbro, with Joma. So I worked and stuff for them in sales, and I just never really enjoyed it. It didn't. I suppose it's not. I didn't enjoy it. It just never. I never wanted to get better at it.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
just happy to do it, and it was like. And then I went off to America, and really enjoyed the coaching aspect over there. Really found it good, and really enjoyed it. And then I came back just before lockdown in the UK, and
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe how far behind we was, like especially in the UK
Yeah.
on in women's football. So I went into a club like Welling United, and I just said to them, like, why have you only got one girls team? Why have you not got no women's team? So I
Yeah.
set up the whole, like the academy. Me and one of the other girls, Vicky Ball, was set up the academy and the senior women's team, and then we just ran that for a while. And then lockdown kind of happened. So during lockdown, I was doing a bit odd jobs here and there. And then my friend owns a funeral home, so I was actually working in a funeral home during lockdown. Um, and I think during that time of doing that and meeting people and realizing, you know, like their world's just ended, like,
Yeah.
and I just thought I want to do what I want to do,
Yeah.
and I'm going to do it to the best possible way I can do it. I'm going to put all the hours and all the time into it, but I'm going to do what I love doing, and I like really, really enjoy coaching.
Yeah.
I know sometimes to the girls it might seem like I don't enjoy it when they frustrate me and I'm like probably screaming at them, but I actually do. And the thing is, my biggest problem is yeah. So for me, it's like I know, like as I said, they're like the girls can probably think I don't enjoy it because I can be screaming and shouting at them. But do you know, if I go, we've had a session, it hasn't quite worked how I wanted to, or I didn't quite
Yeah.
feel the girls got the best out of it. Like I will be at home, like figuring out why.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, does that bug me? Like, and it's like to me, like it might be obsessive in terms of the way I want to do stuff, but I love it. Like I really do enjoy it, and I enjoy like watching people get better. I enjoy like looking at some of the girls we've got come through, like who have really improved. It's like the small little details and things of what you see. Like, and I think if you want to coach and you want to manage, you've got to consume your life. Like it
Yeah.
just does. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're probably only just going to tip along.
Yeah. Yeah. And I suppose even for Shane or your son, so that's a great example for him to see, his dad going after something that he's passionate with, working his balls off for it. It's a great lesson for him, and I suppose to see what going after your dream is essentially, because you can definitely get lost doing something you don't want to do. Like I've kind of mentioned this on my other podcasts. I've been in that kind of field myself, where you're kind of going paycheck to paycheck and it's grand, but like before you know it, a year is gone, 2 years gone, 3 years gone, and then you're unhappy, and then you're bringing it into your personal life. Like I would say to Ashley, my wife, since I've been involved with yourselves, like I'm busy, but she can tell that I love it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She tells that, yeah, look, he wants to improve. He wants to help the girls. He wants to help the lads, and it's nearly addictive in a way, isn't it? Do you know, when
Yeah.
you have that something you love, you're like, okay,
Yeah.
what am I doing today? What am I doing today? And it doesn't even feel like work.
No. And I
It,
think like that,
you know?
well, I've got that sort of personality anyway where I can be addicted to things, but I think like for me, like it's interesting with Shay because he's very good knowledge, like and very like his people skills and his soft skills and stuff that the way he talks and the way he is with other people, and how he can be around myself and James, and he understands things very well.
Yeah,
And like, if I'm not quite, say if we've lost the game and I'm not quite right after the game and I need a bit of time, like it's not a case of he just don't say anything. He'll just sit next to you, like, and he
yeah,
just.
yeah,
And I remember after the Shamrock Rovers game, and I just needed like 5-10 minutes to myself, and I literally sat in the room and in the our little office down in the
yeah,
ground, and he came in and he just sat in a chair next to me, didn't say nothing, just sat there,
yeah,
and it was just like probably noticed that I needed someone to be there with me because I was a little bit probably not in a I was down after the game, and
yeah,
I don't do well with that, and I've said this to you and I've said it to a lot of the girls that I really struggle after games if I feel we've not done quite what we should have done.
yeah,
Like emotionally, it takes like I really struggle. I do struggle because I'm very passionate about this football club and where we should be.
Yeah.
And it was just interesting, like when he comes in, this like because he's been around this environment and he's been around a lot adults quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think his understanding of things like it's so far ahead kids his age, and it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's weird.
He and you know what? He's actually great crack. I had a good old laugh with him a good few times of training. But going back to the Rovers game, he came out and I don't know, it was the after sitting with you at this stage because I couldn't find you. You weren't around, right? You were obviously around, but I didn't see you. And I was chatting to Shay, and I was like, "Shay, you all right?" Like, and he was devastated, like devastated with the loss.
Mm.
And he's like, "You all right?" He's like, "I'm just worried about my dad." I goes, "Why?" Because we lost. He's like, what if he gets fired? What if he quits? And I swear to God, like he was nearly crying, and he was just so worried. But like I remember I said to him, "Look, we'll be grand." He goes, "We'll be fine. We'll be back training next week." And great little character, though. In fairness to him, and I suppose going to America and for you, Danny, that must have been difficult because you're not going to see him as much as you want to see him. I suppose that must have been challenging in itself, was it?
Yeah, that is really, really difficult. Obviously, FaceTime and things like that helped.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I was actually on decent money in America, so I was able to get back a good bit.
Yeah.
But like, I think sometimes when you go away and you're away from people that you love and you care about, you don't take things for granted.
Okay.
Like, so like when you do have them times with him and you're with him and you spend that time with him, it's like you're spending quality time.
Yeah.
Like, me and James speak about it quite a lot. So say like Shay's over and he's at football all the time with me.
Yeah.
Or he's out with me doing stuff at Bishopstown, or we're trying to do something else, or I'm meeting someone about something and it's to do with football. I'm going to get one of the girls a coffee. But like, I still make that time to just go, do you know what? Like, I think when he was here, Barry, the groundsman, wasn't around and we needed to paint the pitch. So Shay come out and helped me paint the pitch. And as much as that's like something so stupid, but like the two of us were doing it together and he actually loved it. And you're like,
yeah.
He was like pulling the string, and he was moaning that I didn't have the string straight or that I was painting the line wrong. And I was just like, did I paint over you in a minute? You carry on. But like small little things like that, it's just that quality time that you spend with each other. And I think, that's when I think then things become important. Like in the evenings, just coming home and instead of us going, "Oh, I'll take you cinema," and you don't talk, we'd come home and it'd be like messing around, and you're like, But like things like that you do, like it just, I think like that quality time just becomes so much more important. And it is difficult because Shay lives in Manchester, obviously, and I'm here, and obviously I probably need to prioritize time for him more and get to there more. But it's hard when the season's on because like you're going from game to game, training session, day to day, and it's like you don't think outside of football for time. And I think I know I have to do better at it. I know I really do because it's like I'm already planning not the Athlone game, but planning what we do pre-season.
Yeah.
When are we coming back? What we're going to be doing? Who's taking what? Do I need a new fit? Do I have to find more physios? Have I got another? Like trying to put all the things in place for then.
Yeah.
Is like starting now, and and you forget about other things. I went home at the weekend, so I haven't been home since Christmas really, and I went to see my nephews and nieces. So I was in Office England with the UEFA Elite Youth A, and I just went down to my family and spent time with them from like Thursday evening till Monday morning, and just seeing how much the kids have grown and like spending time with them, like, and it's just taking them to the park, like, it don't have to go out and buy things and spend money on kids, like just go and spend time with them, like, and even like my little nephew, like Ernie, like he's 2 next month. Better not forget that because my sister killed me. But, he literally like would follow me around everywhere. Like, Dan, and it was like, oh jeez, I need a break. Like, and it was like all day, constantly following me around everywhere, and it was lovely. It was really nice, and even though you're not there, they still know who you are, and they still want to spend time. So it's like the little things like really important to me that I need to do more often. I probably don't spend enough time doing, and I need to prioritize them a little bit more.
Yeah, because you actually said it to me, and it was only a passing comment, but it stuck with me because obviously we're expecting ourselves. But remember, you said that to me, you were like, Shay's over for the month, and as you just said, you're like, I don't want him doing football with me all the time. As in, I want to do stuff with him. I want to just spend time with him, whether it be at home or whatever it was. And I remember that actually did stick with me. I was kind of going, yeah, okay. And look, I'll take any bit of tips from anyone at this stage, about what's coming, what's ahead of me, changing nappies, whatever else.
Oh, don't.
Going back to the playing then again, Dan, right? So you can pick any one of your teams. So if someone sees Danny Murphy, he's playing with City or he's playing at Motherwell, playing at Rovers, and they say, professional footballer getting paid, grand life. But I presume there is a kind of a dark side to football in terms of maybe the free time or I suppose what you may get involved in outside in.
Yeah, I think as footballers, you're immature. And I don't care what anyone says, right? You don't grow up until you finish playing football. Because you go in every day, you're messing around, you're acting like children.
Yeah.
And you go in and you're doing silly things like putting water in people's socks and cutting the ends off people's socks off. And you're being children all day, every day. And then you have downtime. And downtime could be considered is the worst part. Because say, for instance, like we would go golf a lot, but you're playing golf, you're like 20 quid a round. Okay. Like 10 euro first round, back nine, 10 euro back nine, 20 euro overall. So like by the end of it, you could be 40 euro out of your pocket. But like everything's competition.
Yeah.
And like I remember we used to have days where we used to just go and find a pub. Like, where no one would know it was. And we used to go to a pub called the Cherry Orchard. The Orchard it was called, sorry. That I think it's in Ballinlock.
Yeah.
But like at a betting office next door. And we'd just be walking in that all day, like just because we had nothing else to do. And we could play darts in there. And it was like you didn't want to be around the shopping centre walking around. You didn't want to be out in the street. You couldn't go play golf because you wasn't allowed. So it was too close to a game. So you'd find something you could do, and sometimes it would be just you'd go and spend a couple of hours in the bookies.
Yeah.
And like it was just boring. But like that was probably from just bad habits. Like, and it's just that it was a culture that was in, and I think it's still in football in a way that, it's that downtime, that boredom. I do think it might have changed now a little bit because you got computer games and things like that. And some lads still go home and they're more into like sitting up all night playing computer, which I do think is another thing that's an addictive and a problem. But I think it was just the downtime. I struggled with that, like not being able to. I just struggled with having nothing to do. I can't sit around. I get bored very quick.
And did the betting become a problem for you?
Yeah. So when I finished playing football, right around before when I was getting married, and the money just kind of wasn't there for me. And I'd have a little bit of a bet and I'd win a little bit of money. Then I'd go back in, I was in it again, then I was out of it again. And I think over like probably a 2-year period, I was like really bad. Really bad. I was probably every day. Especially when I stopped playing football, I was probably every afternoon. So like it was, I would I remember I used to drive to Kinsale I used to have coaching down in Kinsale. And I used to leave a little bit earlier and drop Shay off at my ex-wife's mum's earlier, just so that I could go into the Ladbrokes in Kinsale before I went to coaching. Like that was my priority. Like that was like what I was looking to do. And I was only thinking about it the other day when I was chatting to someone else about it. I'm like, I don't know. It was, for me, I don't think I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was the chase of it that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the not winning and trying to win your money back, or and that for me was like, it was. I've never been, and my ex-wife, I tell you more than anyone, I'm not a money orientated person. I really ain't, and money's never really been a driver for me. I'm not, as long as my bills are paid, I'm all right. I'm happy. But at that time, I just couldn't. It wasn't uncontrollable. I just couldn't stop. I just didn't know how to stop. just didn't.
I know. What was that moment where you kind of decided, okay, this is becoming too much, and I may need to get help, or I may need to stop, and like, what can you remember what that moment was?
Yeah, I was financially literally in a little bit of a bad way, and I remember I dropped Shay's mum to work. I just dropped Shay's mum to work, and I was driving back from town, and yeah, I'm trying to think the name of the place now. It's next to another pub, but there was a Ball Sports. I think it's the Back Douglas Road,
Yeah.
where you got the Ball Sports and had the pharmacy. Is it the Briar Rose next to that pub?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I remember driving into that car park and pulling up, and Shay was asleep in the back of the car. And I literally went to walk in the door and open the door to go into Bowl Sports. And I just looked back and I was like, I'm actually going to go and spend an hour in here and leave my son in the car. And I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And I then literally drove to her mum's house, dropped Shay off, and just said, I need to go and sort some things out. And I went and tried to get some help, and I done well for a couple of months. I fell back into it again, done well again, and then I think the best thing for me was going to America,
Yeah.
because I just literally completely got away from it. So I'd say I'm back in England now. I'd say I'm like 8 to 9 years now without having a bet.
Oh,
So,
congratulations! That's brilliant.
but I don't say that I'm never going to have a bet again, and I don't say that it's something that I don't see. Sometimes I'll have a muck around. People go, oh, I bet you I hit the crossbar first, or do this or do that, and like more out of like the language that you use more than the thought of actually doing it.
Yeah.
But I think that you just got to realise that I know what way I can go when I'm like that,
Yeah.
and how it can it can completely destroy everything you do, and it's. And I'm glad that I don't do it, and I'm glad that it's not in my life. But I think I've thrown myself so far into other things now that I won't even have time to have a look
Yeah.
at. I wouldn't even have any interest in it. Like I'd look at it, but I'd all of about 10 seconds, and I'd be like, right, I've got to go and watch something, and
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
gone. But no, so yeah, look, it was hard, really tough. I don't feel like I had any. I had some support from people. I wouldn't say the support that's there now was there when I was playing.
Okay.
I don't think the understanding around it was there. I think there was conversations about it, and we had people come in, but no one ever followed through with everything, and
Yeah.
it was just done. And for me, I mean, I know like my dad kind of struggled with it, like understanding like how can you be like that sort of thing, and it was difficult, but it was really tough time actually for me, to be honest with you, because me and Shay's mum split up not long after it. It just wasn't right, and things that I did obviously had hurt his mum quite a lot. And look, we're still really close now, and we're probably better off. We're definitely better off the way we are now,
Yeah.
and we're good friends. But like I had her support, her family were great, my family, everyone was great to me, but I just probably didn't have that professional help,
Okay.
um, and I didn't really know how to go and get it. Like I hate going to the meetings.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. They were so depressing, so upsetting that I really struggled with the meetings. But then I know there's other people who need to go to the meetings because they need to hear other people's stories, because it makes them feel better that they're doing okay.
Yeah.
Whereas I like when I hear how people are feeling, it just gets me down.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't be like that. I'm always like, do you know what? No matter how bad today is, tomorrow's another day, and I move on.
Yeah.
So I kind of very try and be positive. Like I know, like on a Sunday after a match or a Saturday after a game, it ain't quite gone our way, and I can be quite down. But come Monday, I'm like, we've got to move on.
Yeah.
We're training. We've got to get the girls right. We've got to
Yeah.
focus on cheering them up. Like I can't be that person where I'm down, I'm depressed, because it just rubs off on the group. And like, does it hurt sometimes? And it's hard to be like, yeah, it is. But I do think that we put things to bed very quickly, and we move on from things well, when it really helps us as a team, because I think it's still helping us develop and we're still improving.
Yeah.
But I think that over the years, I don't go to meetings at all anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
Uh, not that I don't feel I need to go, and I don't think probably should go, but I just feel like I don't think it puts me in the right headspace when I'm there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a little bit kind of different that way.
And can I ask you a question? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But if you had a bet in the morning, would there be someone you tell? Could it be James, or would it be Shay's mom, or would it be family members, or would you kind of keep it to yourself, do you think?
I'd keep it to myself.
Yeah.
That's why I don't do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And then I won't tell anyone, and then it'll get out of hand, and I still won't tell anyone. And then I'll wait till I'm right in the shit, and then I'll be like, I need help.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, just stay away from it.
Yeah.
Because
and
I'm not, there's no point lying and saying, oh yeah, I'd go and tell this person, I'd go and ring my sponsor. I wouldn't. I really wouldn't. Because I'd be like going, oh, I don't need that help. I'm fine. And that's just me. Like, I know I'm like that. I know exactly what I'm like, and I know exactly what I'll end up doing.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just say, no, I wouldn't. That's why I don't do it.
Fair play, man. And we've obviously talked about this, and we have put together a workshop that we're looking to kind of go into schools with. Because I would have seen it in school when in teaching, that there'd be fellas, and probably be a 6th year maybe or 5th year, but they'd be the bookie in the school taking bets. And obviously we have the students have it on their phone. In some instances they go into the bookies, and sometimes their ID isn't checked, and they're going to do a bit of betting. So really looking forward to bringing that to schools. And what do you think the benefit of educating students would be on this matter?
I think it's massive. I think that it's such a downward spiral. Now, one thing like I would say is I think some people need to make the mistakes of doing it to learn how bad it can be. Yeah. And I think some people need the help and support to be able to be told, like, look, this ain't the right road to go down. I think it's like anything, it literally takes over. You can bet all day, every day, all through the night. And I know, and I was saying, I think I was telling you this, is like, I was betting on racing in South Africa and America, and I was lying in my bed at like 4 o'clock in the night, setting my alarm to get up to check see if the horses had run. Yeah. Like, it takes over everything. And there's only one way it's going to go, is you either lose everything and lose everyone, or you end up doing something really stupid. Yeah. And I really do think that, like, the education part of it and being able to say to people, look, I've been there, lost everything. Probably lucky I didn't lose the relationship I had with Shay's mum and my son. I'm lucky that the amount of people I upset and was dishonest to, that they're still involved in my life because they know it's not me. I'm not that sort of person. Yeah. And like, I fucked up my relationship with Cork City Football Club at one stage because of it. Really? And like, I remember having a chat with Aina Buckley, and I would say I would have probably got this Cork City women's job 2-3 years ago if they thought they didn't still kind of have that feeling about like knowing that I had the gambling and the issues and the stuff that I was having then. But I've had to improve myself, right? Yeah. So that I can prove that I'm not that sort of person. Yeah. And that for me is like trying to be honest, like, and trying to ask for help when you need help, and when you don't, and just it could have gone a really different way for me. Yeah. I think it did for a period, but now, like, it's taken time to show people, look, I've learned from my mistakes. I've made stupid ones. I'm still going to make silly mistakes, but I will never make them as bad as that. And when I do make them, I'm going to own them, and I'm not going to hide from them and let them get worse and worse. And I think letting people understand how bad that it can get and what it can do to your whole life, and in terms of how it can destroy every relationship you have. Well, like, it really can. This was,
I still have a few more questions, but like, again, thanks for sharing that, because that's an incredibly personal thing to share, especially on a podcast. And it was to brighten it up a bit. What are your own kind of goals and aspirations, I suppose, as a coach, or not even a coach, a manager? Sorry. What are your plans, or what would you like to happen, maybe in the short and medium term, and obviously maybe long term? Because we see ladies football, soccer in Ireland is really starting to take off. Like, is there ambitions to be in charge of an Irish team? Is there ambitions to be in charge of a Cork City men's team? I suppose, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think, look, my job at the club at the moment is I need to make sure that whatever I decide to do in the future, that I leave this football club in the best possible position
Yeah,
to progress and develop. And no matter what I do in my career, no matter where I go, I need to make sure that I need to continually keep trying to improve what we're doing. I really do think over the next 2 to 3 years that we can be one of the biggest clubs in terms of producing players, developing players, and like winning and being up there challenging. And I think that's my biggest aim at the moment, is to be us challenging at the other end of the table and developing the players in the right way to be able to do that. I think ultimately you wouldn't be in the job if you didn't have dreams and aspirations to coach at the highest possible level you can coach at.
yeah,
And whether it be whatever level, right? Whatever level I'm going to be at or whatever level I can get to, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. And
yeah,
that's the biggest thing for me. And I'm like, at the moment, I've still got a lot of work to do here. I still feel that we're really going in the right direction. I think that when even if an opportunity came along now and someone comes to me, I'd be like, I'm not ready.
yeah,
I'm not, because I'm not finished doing what we've got to do. And
yeah,
I think we're in a really good place with the players and the people and the owner and everything like that. And I think everyone can see where we're trying to go. And
yeah,
it's not, uh, I think we all want quick success, don't we? We all want
yeah,
things to happen quickly. But I think that we're not going to have that sort of success yet, because we're still not quite set up to where we want to get to do that.
yeah,
And that's just been, and it's not nice to think that way. And I know I said this to you the other day, like, sometimes I see things and I'm like, oh, we're really pushing on and we're really doing well. And then within a week later, you're like going, oh, no, we're not. We're back to square one again.
yeah,
And I think that inconsistency is hard. And I think until we get the consistency of continued improvement and development, then we'll get the results and the league positions and the
yeah,
trophies and the
yeah,
medals, and that will come. But that's going to take over a period of time. And people have got to be willing to say, look, it has been a shit show at Cork City for the last 3-4 years.
yeah,
Like, how are you expecting things to turn around in what have I been managing the team 10 months?
yeah,
3 months, 2.5, 3 months of that, we had no games.
yeah,
So, we've got to, over a period of time, get it to where it needs to get to, and we've still got work to do, and we all know that.
yeah. And this was, to be fair, the owner is very supportive, even coming down, chatting to you after the cup game, and the kind words he said to you then. And I've seen him a lot of the games, so there's great support there. Danny, I think we've come to the end, my man.
No,
I'd love to keep you longer, but I'm conscious of
nah,
your time.
nah,
But no, thanks a million for being so open.
no.
It's kind of great to get insights of what is being done at Cork City. And again, we'd always kind of talk about the consistency piece, maybe the consistency of behaviours and stuff. But I suppose, actually, I have two more questions
Yeah.
for a young athlete, regardless of sport, from your experience as a manager and obviously as a professional player. What were the three kind of tips you'd give them to help them progress? This was in their chosen sport.
Um, oh, tough. I'd say
No pressure here now, Dan. No pressure.
no, yeah, no. It's an interesting one, because like it is interesting for me. It's like, I would say, be coachable,
Yeah,
right? So in terms of be coachable, be willing to listen to information that coaches that have for you, ask questions of coaches when they have tips and things like for you. I'd say have fun with it, whatever you do, enjoy doing it. And then my other one would be like, and it was a kind of question I asked you the other day, like, improve, or prove yourself. Like, what's
yeah,
most important to you? Like,
yeah,
and I think I was saying to you, a friend of mine who that's similar to what you
yeah,
did, who asked me the question, and Steve Salis, and I couldn't get my head around it, and I was like, what are you on about? Prove or improve? Like, I just couldn't. And I think, like, what are them two things are most important to you? So if you're just in it to prove yourself or prove to other people you're good enough, or you're really in it to improve yourself, because the rest of it will fall into place.
yeah. Unbelievable. And that's the perfect way to finish it. Danny, we'll have you back on again. Definitely when City win a cup or a league. We'll talk well before then, but we'll have that in the background, which will be great. Dan, thanks so much for coming on. Absolutely brilliant. Thanks for being so open, and I'll see you tonight at training.
Yep, no problem.